of a fitness type deal that I'm going to be talking about. I don't have a camera on me, so this is going to just be me playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto 5, just to include some entertainment to go along with the video. A little bit about me: I work as a physical therapist assistant. I also hold a bachelor's degree in exercise science, so I hope that the information that I provide for you here in this broadcast will be insightful and helpful. There's a lot of popular fitness personalities on YouTube, which is great. Most of them are just more for entertainment purposes, but there's a few out there that I really like to watch, such as AthleanX, and there's a couple others, I'm sure. But anyway, I also wanted to talk a little bit about some of the practices demonstrated by Kali Muscle. I know he's a very popular personality, but I also wanted to ensure that the information being shared by him is known for what it is. And he is an entertainer, but when it comes to certain fitness practices, I just really get the impression that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Hit it on the chuck. Anyway, one of the things that he mentions a lot is, keeping stress on the muscle throughout the range of motion, and a lot of times what that means is not going through full range. The problem that I have with not going through full range of motion is the fact that studies have shown, and there's a few out there, I don't have the studies right in front of me. Everything that I say you are going to have to look up if you want to know for yourself. But there have been studies that have shown that strength gains, and when you're lifting weights, strength gains and muscle gains to a large degree go hand in hand. Now, you can get muscle gains from using lighter weights, obviously, because there is such a thing as inducing metabolic stress. However, to not go through full range is a mistake, because strength gains happen within the degree of joint angle that you work, and there is a plus or minus of approximately 15 degrees within that level of joint angle that you work. For example, if you hold an isometric contraction for your bicep work at a 90-degree elbow flexion level, and that's what you held for 30 seconds or what have you, you would really only see muscle gains to a concentric level of about 15 degrees and an eccentric level of about 15 degrees. So the problem that I have with using partial range of motion is that you won't see the same level of strength gain throughout the entire range that you would if you were to use a full range of motion. Some of you might not think that's a big deal, especially when it comes to occlusion, which happens when the muscle is contracted and it keeps the blood out of the muscle, and then when you finally relax the muscle, nutrients go into the muscle belly and help with growth. But the problem is that, again, we're talking about strength gains. The muscle belly only extends so far, and that's a genetic predisposition for everybody. Obviously Arnold had long muscle bellies for his biceps. Franco Columbu had short muscle bellies for his biceps. but strength gain is specifically what we're talking about. So when a person is maybe squatting 400 pounds and they never break parallel, but the moment they have to give an equivalent of 400 pounds of force, and they have to break parallel in order to do that for a manual labor job or something of that nature, it could cause an injury. It could potentially cause a muscle tear, which in fact can happen because you're giving that level of force beyond the degree of joint angle that you are typically used to using. So, as much as I like Kali Muscle for the insight that he gives, I feel that some of his insight is flawed, and I don't believe that his insight will work for a typical natural lifter. And natural lifting is the other thing that I want to touch on today. My plan is to release video series every week or so. I am in the middle of school, so I can't release a video series every day like I would truly like to, but maybe eventually I can do that. But I do want to talk a little bit about steroid use. I've heard a lot of people mention that, steroids make your muscles strong, so injuries should be less likely than they actually are. But the problem is that is just not the case. It is true that you probably won't get actual muscle injuries as much as you would without steroids because the muscles are in effect stronger. Obviously, there are some outliers to what I'm about to say, one of them being Ronnie Coleman. We all know that he had some extremely heavy poundages that he lifted, but he is not the typical. He is an outlier. He is a pretty extraordinary gentleman. But the things that he was able to do are things that most bodybuilders won't be able to do. And that is extremely heavy lifting with steroid use. Most bodybuilders in their primes after heavy steroid use have to lift an equivalent of what would be light for them, typically within the 10 to 15 rep ranges, in order to keep that occlusive effect, which means that more nutrients can rush into the muscle, and also to prevent injury. You don't see bodybuilders truly pushing the limit when it comes to weight poundage because injuries are more common. Now, I just said, obviously, that it's typically not the muscle that will be injured. That's because it's usually the tendons that get injured. Studies that I have read have shown that muscle will steal protein elements from tendons, which eventually makes the tendons brittle. They lose their elastic property as you continue to use steroids. And that's why you see wrestlers such as Kevin Nash who have quad injuries. Those were tendon injuries more than likely. So, don't be fooled by the big guy in the gym who lifts light weights and looks absolutely humongous. That is not a natural lifter most of the time. Like I said, there are outliers, there are people who can do that, but most typical natural people cannot. With that being said, Christian, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He is a coach on T-Nation. He posted a while ago an article called "The Best Damn Method for Natural Lifters," or something to that effect. And it's very, very sound advice. It is heavy lifting, heavy being anywhere from 6 to 8 rep max, and doing low volume, but hitting the same muscle groups frequently throughout the week. We're talking as much as 3 times a week. So you would pick about 4 muscle groups to hit one day and a different 4 muscle groups to hit the next day. And then the day after that you go back to the day 1 muscle groups. You might pick a different exercise each day that you hit that same muscle group, but you don't want to do a lot of volume because you want to spread that volume out. What that does in effect is it keeps protein synthesis high for a much longer period of time, because you're giving the muscle enough time to recover because the volume isn't high, but you're not giving it enough time to truly completely turn off protein synthesis. As the old saying goes, stimulate, don't annihilate. High frequency training is the best method for muscle gains in the natural lifter. There's just no way around it. It just is what it is. For people that have questions, you can post on my YouTube page, and I will do my best to answer them either through direct message, or I can answer them in video postings that I do in the future. So I hope this was insightful for everybody. Lift smart, lift safe, lift as heavy as you can within those rep ranges through full range of motion, and you should be good to go. I do have a full program that I plan on sharing, probably around video series 4 or 5. But for right now, I just want everybody to lift the best way that they can in the way that I know works best for natural lifters. Y'all have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you later. And I'm stuck. Bye.